I'm an American. We don't have free health insurance. We don't have really free anything. I'm an American. Doesn't matter if you have health insurance because it's still going to take you 6 months to get seen by anyone, and then they're going to gaslight you into thinking nothing's wrong. I'm an American. You have to pay insurance on your house, except it's not going to cover earthquakes, disasters, hurricanes, or fires anymore. I'm an American. Gotta pay insurance on the car too, but that probably won't matter because they're probably not going to pay you out. Also, never use your insurance because then your premiums go up and then you have to pay more. I'm an American. Food, isn't it right? Food's a luxury, and it's expensive. We've got a McDonald's on just about every block because it's way cheaper than making your own food. I'm an American. Everyone here hates everyone who lives here. And everyone here hates everyone who doesn't live here. And everyone hates everyone who tries to live here. Patriotic. I'm an American. I'm basically the average American. I'm not alone in feeling like this. I'm definitely not alone in being like this. Welcome to Poverty America. We love it here.
Americans are so broke and they don't even realize it. I always get Americans tell me, oh, but people in Mexico only make $20 a day. You can get a full meal here for $2. The metro in Mexico City costs 5 pesos, which is like 25 cents. I can go to the market right now and buy 3 kilos of mangoes for like $2. Yeah, people make less money here, but the cost of living is also lower. Americans think that everywhere is like the US. Now, check this out. Let's say you live in the US and you make $3,500 a month after taxes. I'm being generous. Rent, $2,000. Car payment, $500. Car insurance, $200. Health insurance, $200. Phone bill, $100. Wi-Fi bill, $50. Light bill, $150. Water bill, $100. What's the point of making more money if you don't get to keep any of it? Who cares if you make $4,000 a month if you don't get to keep any of it? 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and that includes half of 6-figure earners. 80% of you guys are in debt and don't own anything, and half of you guys don't even have $500 in your savings account. But let's call other countries poor and let's call other people poor. Living paycheck to paycheck your whole life and being in debt your whole life should be considered poverty, but it's not. And I know this is going to hurt a lot of Americans, but it's the truth. The US system wants you to spend every waking moment of your life working and paying into a system that will never benefit you. Slaving away your whole life just to be retired for a measly 10 years. At least here in Mexico, we own our things. We own our houses. We own our cars. We're not in debt. But anyways, that's a story for another day. Let me know what you guys think.
How do you enjoy your weekend when you're stressed and overwhelmed? We wake up on Saturday and the weight's still there. It doesn't matter if you're off work or at work. The bills are stacking up. The house is still a mess in your brain. Well, it won't shut off, will it? You try to relax, but you feel guilty for it. You try to rest, but the world says you're lazy if you do. You want to breathe, but it feels like every second you waste might put you even farther behind. People say, oh, just enjoy your time off. Bro, I can't. I'm too damn tired to be present and too anxious to sit still. I feel like I'm drowning in responsibility while everyone else is out here living. And your job from Friday has you already anxious for what's to come when you go back on Monday, because you're left with a huge mess on your hands and now you got to walk back into that train wreck. The weekend's supposed to be a break, but for a lot of us, it's just a pause in the chaos. We don't relax. We just barely recover. And deep down, we're all just wondering, how much can we do? And how long can we do this for before we finally break? Monday's almost here, folks. And that's always there in the back of our minds. It's always there waiting for us. And before you know it, that alarm clock's going to be ringing at 5 or 6 a.m. Monday morning. And back you are. Have a good weekend.
America has reached the pinnacle of its success. We are on a downward spiral. You cannot get pregnant in this country. You cannot get sick in this country. God forbid you have to call an ambulance. The government is taking away all assistance to healthcare, while we produce new stealth bombers that do missions in Iran for other countries. How unfortunate for us, the American citizens. This is the current state of our country. You cannot get sick. God help you if you do. Our government, they're all 90 years old, and all they care about is staying in office. They don't care whether you can survive. They don't care whether you're in debt. They don't care whether the banks take your home or your car or everything from you. because you do not dare get sick in this country.
Hello tribe, welcome back again to this one here. I go by Sherlock. If it is your first time that you're bumping across this particular channel, and for my returning viewers, hope you're doing good, you're doing fine from wherever you're watching us from. Now, in today's tea, you know, the white Americans, it wasn't supposed, like the script that was written for them was like, you know, work hard, be, you know, hardworking, pay bills, and then everything else is going to turn out to be positive. But the recent turn of things isn't exactly as, you know, the script purportedly was, you know, as in the previous. So some white Americans are, you know, regretting. They're calling it that, you know, it's unbearable. They cannot be able to even afford the basic living standards. You know, immediately they leave from, you know, immediately they get their paycheck. Rent takes the bigger bite. Then comes the groceries. Then it leaves somebody with no any other remnants or remains that they can maybe have a plan for, save for a future, a kind of. So it's like living from paycheck to paycheck. And even as we've just watched from the prelude and the many clips that I've put together, courtesy guys, courtesy of the creators, I put them together, echoing the same, coining the same struggle, the same life, the life that is eating from inside outside, you know, slow by slow. But you see, it's just a sample of the many that we do not know what is exactly going on in some other, you know, quarters. But from the few that we've interacted with, me and you, as we're going to interact with in the shortly after this, it will come out clear that you see that life isn't as rosy as, you know, the American dream really purportedly, you know, depicts out there. So me and you, we're gonna watch. And then, of course, circling at the end of this particular show, as we usually do it here, I'll circle towards the end of this particular show with thoughts, comments, all the same. But along the line, tribe, I feel like you also need to, you know, to drop me your comments. It's kind of support. And also subscribe if, you know, you bumped across this particular channel for the first time, so that you'll be the first one to be notified when we do our future uploads. So let's keep on watching.
It sucks to be a white American. Now hold on, give me a chance. Let me explain. I want you to think of the kind of person who would put on a White Lives Matter sticker on the back of their Ford pickup. Why do they do that? Is it all racism? Well, yeah. But I think it goes a lot deeper than that. White Americans basically have no culture. Not in the same way we see other people. And we white people, we know this inherently, and it scares us. We know we have our regional cultures. Our cities, our sports teams, and families all give us our regional culture, but being white basically means nothing, or generally at least nothing positive. White people throughout American history are almost always seen on the side of the oppressors. Not all white people, but most of us. And this sucks to learn. It's even harder to internalize. And it's why white people usually don't accept this, because it makes us feel a deep sense of guilt. I think it's why white people say nonsense like, I can't be racist, I have black friends. Sure, you probably don't see black people as objects, but you're refusing to accept the role our people have had in their oppression. That guilt we feel is our responsibility for the actions of our ancestors. It's why white people refuse to say that black people deserve reparation, because it admits our guilt. But black people deserve reparations. It just makes sense logically. You can sue someone for scratching your car, but black people can't sue the American government for the enslavement of their people. My people are arresting and deporting Mexican families from this country. Think about that. We are telling people that they are not allowed on the land we stole. Let's go a step further. White people stole a sacred land site from the people indigenous to this land and then carved 4 white people's faces on it, most of which were slave owners. I mean, Mount Rushmore is a place that we look at and we're like, oh, cool, giant faces. But to other people, it's a giant form of oppression. And admitting that and coming to terms with that sucks. We suck, dude. My people really and truly suck. Not all of us contributed to this oppression, but we are all a part of it. And this will mostly sound like virtue signaling. It will mostly sound like, look at how rough we are. But there is a reality to admitting this guilt and being honest with it. because white people are afraid to do this. And we're afraid to admit it because my people are weak. White people are weak. We have power we have given ourselves and put down the cultures that are stronger than us because we know that we're weak. If white Americans were oppressed the same way black, native, or Mexican American people are, we would crack like glass. Our culture and identity as white people is so meaningless that we do everything in our power to keep other people down so that we don't break from having someone else on top. I think that's why you see white Americans championing white pride, not just out of ignorance or racism, but it's because they are scared. They're scared to come to terms with their guilt, scared to admit they're wrong, and terrified to acknowledge that we may have all the societal, economic, and political power, but as a people we are weak. But this isn't the way it has to be forever. I have hope that one day my people will finally take responsibility for what we have done. I hope that we'll collectively accept our role in the oppression of our non-white brothers and sisters and finally take action. And it will take the action of us white folks. It's not just non-white people that have to fight for their rights. It's us too fighting for them because our cross to bear is being born white. Being born with the skin color of the oppressors means that we have to fight to be nothing like them. We're not near that right now. America is in a tumultuous stage where it very much does not feel like white people are acknowledging where they went wrong. But I want to have hope, and I refuse to accept that one day justice won't prevail. Collectively, we can all shed the shadow of oppression and share this place together. And that's the message I want to end with. I want to be hopeful that one day oppression will be something taught in history class, something that we don't have to see ourselves in. That's what I hope. Anyway, I want to be optimistic in the end. Anyway, that's it. Thanks.
People are broke, and now there's proof showing up in the numbers. Kellogg's reported an 8.6% drop in cereal sales. Crocs pulled its entire financial forecast. Heineken says people are drinking less. And even global giants like Nestle are seeing sales fall across the board. And what's scary about this, it's not about cutting luxuries. People are walking away from everyday items. Candy, snacks, fast food, takeout. Last Saturday, I went for lunch at a popular restaurant. Usually packed at noon, we expected a wait. Instead, we were just a handful of people there. Because consumers are cutting back hardest on items that bring joy. Chips, chocolate, going out to dinner. Not because they want to, because simply they don't have the fucking money. And companies know it. Forecasts are being pulled. Behind the scenes, they see the truth. Demand just isn't slowing. It's fucking collapsing. After 5 brutal years, Americans are barely hanging on. And now the administration slaps tariffs on top of it. It's like throwing gasoline on an already burning house. These families are one missed paycheck away from financial collapse. Americans aren't tightening belts anymore. They've run out of fucking notches.
I don't give a fuck if I'm crying. I don't fucking care. America, we're struggling, man. We're dying every fucking day, bro. We got to hear about another friend that blew his fucking head off. Another friend that fucking overdosed. Another friend that fucking did something stupid. Another friend that fucking... Everyone fucking hates, dude. We're very lonely, America. This is from a veteran. We're fucking dying. We're fucking dying, dude. You can't just feed us pills and say, here's fucking $100 a month. Go fuck yourself. I don't care if I sound like a bitch. We need something to fucking happen, bro. Fuck you.
I'm a federal employee. I usually don't like to say that on this app because, people apparently hate federal employees. But I was illegally terminated on Valentine's Day. And then after I had applied to unemployment, I got a notification a week later at 2 a.m. that my job was reinstated due to the stakeholders that I work with, their concern about me getting fired. And they had to petition our Republican representative to reinstate my job. And I'm grateful that they fought for me, even though I shouldn't have been terminated in the first place. But let me just say, since I've gotten my job back, I've hated every moment. There is nothing more demoralizing than going to your job as a public servant and then watching all of the people that also are public servants around you get fired, and illegally fired, if I might add. And watching all of your friends and people that you really care about lose their livelihoods, their careers, everything they've worked for their entire lives just getting thrown out the window. It really doesn't boost morale for me to have to watch these things and to hear about these things and to be in constant communication with so many people that have been affected by this administration and what they call government efficiency downsizing. That's absolutely not true. I have a lot of friends that work at different federal agencies because I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer. So a lot of us that do Peace Corps, we usually transition to federal jobs after. And from what I've heard across different people that are experiencing things at different agencies, it's all kind of similar to me. It seems like a lot of essential workers and facilities are now being cut on the ground in the places where we are trying to serve the community. And it's just making the government completely inefficient. And then this administration is then going to blame government workers for not being efficient when all of their resources have been cut off. And all of our constituents and the people that we serve have been brainwashed into thinking that we are the problem. It's not the administration, it's the government workers. I know a lot of scientists, biologists, conservationists that have been attacked publicly and online saying that we are government bureaucrats, when in reality, a lot of us just finished our 2 or 3 degrees where we got paid no money for every single day that we worked. And then this was our first job, our first real paying job out of school. You don't go into biology or conservation for the money. I just want to make all of that clear to everyone. You go into it because you care about the earth. You care about the citizens of the US. You care about people that aren't billionaires, right? You care about nature, animals. You want to preserve the amazing biodiversity and our agricultural and ecological systems in this country. And in the past, we've had pretty strong support from both the different administrations and the public on the work that we do because it is important and it is irreplaceable. But now, so many of Trump's loyalists and followers have been brainwashed into thinking that we deserve to lose our jobs because we're scientists and we're lying to people, which is absolutely crazy. Like, I did not, when I was a little kid watching Steve Irwin when I was 5 years old, I wasn't imagining that when I decided to pursue a career in biology and ecology that I would be getting attacked for wanting to save and to improve the natural systems in this country. And now that we don't even have the public support, it's like, what's the point? What are we fighting for? We're just getting berated at work, online for literally nothing. And all of these people have been convinced that, yeah, we're the enemy. And I'm going to watch as our national parks get torn apart. I'm going to watch as the sorghum and wheat growers that I work with at my job lose their farms, lose their crop insurance, and lose their livelihoods, let's be frank. So I want everyone to just take a good hard look about what's happening right now. Like, just look around you. Do you think that tearing down these agencies is really going to improve your life? Because it's not. It's going to actually drastically decrease the quality of your life. And if you are too dense and too brainwashed to see that, I truly pity you, because you are literally attacking the people that are keeping you between being housed and unhoused, having natural parks and spaces and not, and having a food supply, a safe and sustainable food supply and not. So please reconsider who you're trying to attack right now. Are we really the enemy, or is it the freaking billionaires that have taken over this country?
I'm an American who lives in England, and I was sent to A&E today by my GP, and I was there for 6 hours, and I felt annoyed that I was there for that long, and then I was like, I don't think I'm allowed to be annoyed because I've come from America where this visit would have cost me so much money, and here I pay nothing at the point of service. Obviously we contribute in other ways, but not right at that minute. And so when I was sent home with my prescriptions and my cannula was taken out and everything, I didn't even have to pay for parking because they waived it because I had been at the hospital so long. So I was like, well, I feel like I'm not allowed to be annoyed at how long I was here because I got seen and, it didn't cost me anything at that time. But also, doctors are doctors. No matter which country you're in, they're busy. They have loads of people to see. You're going to be sat waiting. And I feel like I am actually allowed to be both grateful and annoyed at the NHS at the same time. I can be grateful to have access to it and simultaneously be annoyed that it took 6 hours to access it. And I feel like I'm coming to terms with okay, that's fair.
My ancestors came here legally, and they came here the right way. Because they came here before 1874. Before 1874, the borders were completely open. And you can't blame Biden for that. Before 1874, there were no laws. And between 1874 and 1924, there began a systemic series of laws that began to restrict immigration. But they did not really restrict immigration for white Europeans. They were to begin the restriction of mostly Asian immigration, specifically the Chinese. And they were brutal. They began to restrict immigration then against anarchists, polygamists, and other quote-unquote undesirables. But again, between 1874 and 1924, if you were off the boat from Europe and you were white, you were welcome into this country with open arms. I say this because many Americans today who are claiming this, and today of all days, with all the protests on immigration, who are claiming my ancestors came here legally and they came here the right way, have no idea what the laws were when their ancestors came over, if they even knew when their ancestors came over. They don't even understand how easy it was for their ancestors to come over. I'm not saying that it was easy for their ancestors to come over. Their ancestors sacrificed a lot to buy the ticket to come over. They left everything they knew. It is difficult for someone to immigrate, no matter what time period it is, whether it's 100 years ago, whether it's today, to leave everything they know and to go to a foreign country. It is infinitely more difficult today to do it the right way. And those Americans who continue to say that over and over, that they did it the right way, simply do not understand how difficult it is today. Or, worse yet, they don't care. And I'm concerned that it's that second. They don't care, that there is no empathy. And they use the excuse of, my ancestors did it the right way. There's no excuse. Your ancestors did it the right way because a white European government set it up that way. A white European government made it easier for your ancestors to make it so, and continue today to make it so. It's not right.
I'm an American. I was taught growing up that we were the good guys. I was taught other countries are scary. I'm an American. Everything here is an ad. I go window shopping for clothes. That way I don't waste my money on clothes instead of food. I'm an American. The prisons here are privatized. It's basically slave labor. If you have enough money, you can get away with violence, but God forbid if you accidentally mess up on your own taxes. I'm an American. The government doesn't do my taxes. I do mine. And I have to pay to do it. I'm an American. I will never own a home. I will never have a child. I will never have a wedding. Not the one I wanted anyway. I'm an American. We pay more for our military planes than we do for our healthcare, which is nothing. We don't have healthcare. I'm an American. All my tax dollars go to fund wars I don't agree with. I'm an American. I couldn't afford college because I had to pay for it myself, which put me in debt. I'm an American. Last time I went to the ER because I thought my appendix was bursting, it took me 9 hours to get seen. And then I paid $2,000 for it. And that was with health insurance. I'm an American. I pay hundreds of dollars a month in gas because there's no buses you can ride here. Unless you want a 4-hour round trip to your work and back. I'm an American, and I hate it here. I'm an American. I pay $1,600 for a flat that has no bedroom. That's 2/3 of my income. I'm an American. I work 50 hours a week. I don't have health insurance. I'm an American. I couldn't afford to have a child even if I wanted to. I'm $7,000 in debt. I'm an American. My health is declining because I can't afford Whole Foods because that's too expensive for my life. I am very overqualified for my job, but no one else is hiring. I'm an American. I make my boss hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, while I can barely keep myself alive. I'm an American. I have never been out of the States. I have never been on a vacation. I'm an American. I make $20-some an hour. A livable wage here is like 30-some. Yet I don't qualify for government assistance whatsoever. On the days I don't work, I'm so tired I just sleep all day. I'm an American. My electric bill is so expensive I sit outside in the heat because I can't afford to turn the AC on in the damn house. I'm an American, and I fear I'm just an average American. I'm living the American dream.
Can y'all MAGA Christians just be honest already? You're not pro-life because you care about children. You're pro-life because you like the control. You like to control people. That's all you've done. In history, you've used your religion and your beliefs to control people. You love to control people's bodies. You like to control people's beliefs. You like to control who people love. And before y'all come at me in the comments, please use your common sense. I'm specifically talking about white supremacists. I'm specifically talking about Christian MAGA nationalists. People that say that they're Christians but use their beliefs, the Bible, and their religion to attack other people. Use their religion to be racist, to justify crimes against humanity. So if the shoe does not fit, please keep on walking. And if the shoe fits, put that motherfucker on. You guys have shown over and over and over again that you do not care about children. You just care about controlling someone's body and their choices. A 15-year-old boy, child, was sent to Alligator Alcatraz. He was detained, kidnapped, booked, and put into Alligator Alcatraz. And then they lie about it. And then when they're backed up into a corner, they say, oh yeah, yes, it was a mistake. He lied about his age. No, you knew how old he was. You knew he was a child. But because he was a brown child, you did not care. You supported bullying and racism towards a child until she took her own life. Again, she was a brown child, so to you, her life did not matter. You support over 20,000 Palestinian children being unalived in Gaza. But again, they're not your white children, so you don't care about them. And you support your president who's a PDF file. So please, 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 do us all a favor and shut the fuck up. You're not pro-life. You're not a real Christian. You don't care about children. You care about control. You care about white people being the only race existing in this country. Well, we're not going anywhere. The United States will always be filled with brown and black people, and you're gonna have to fucking deal with it. Because we're not going anywhere.
Welcome back, tribe. I told you that I'll circle, and here we go. So the nights grow longer. Not just on the clock, but in their hearts. And another empty fridge, another bill slipped under the door, and another morning where the alarm feels heavier than the bed itself. They stare at the ceiling and wonder when life became nothing more than a cycle. Work, pay, survive, repeat. Work, pay, survive, and then repeat. So some try to remember the last time that they laughed without worrying the cost. Yeah, and others stop trying altogether. And the dream that they were promised has turned into a dim light at the end of a hallway that keeps, stretching further away. And somewhere deep down they know, deep down they know that this isn't living. Yeah, but deep down the heart, they know that this isn't just living. This is just holding on. One day at a time, waiting for something to change, knowing it might never come. And every day the silence gets louder. The bars and the coffee shops, once filled, are now places that they pass by, counting the dollars in their pockets and knowing it's not worth stepping inside. Weekends don't feel like a break anymore, just a pause before the grind starts again. They scroll through their phones, watching strangers live the life that they once thought that was theirs. The gap between what was promised and what it is widening with every post. And when the news come on, it's all talk of markets. Yeah, it's all talk of markets, politics, and billion-dollar deals. Things that have nothing to do with the fight to keep the lights on. So they shut it off, sit in the quiet, and feel that mix of anger and exhaustion setting in their bones. Is not just the money, it's the slow erosion of hope. They are not dreaming anymore. They are just enduring. And endurance without purpose, that's a slow kind of death. So for many, the breaking point isn't loud. It's a quiet decision made in the middle of the night. I can't keep living like this. And whether that means walking away from the grind, demanding change, or simply refusing to pretend everything is fine, one thing is for sure certain. Something has to give, because no one can live forever in a life that only offers the energy, to survive until the next alarm. That is the brutal reality. I go by Sherlock once again. If it is the first time that you bumped across this one here, let's interact on the comment section now. And family, I just want to say, for the purpose of this particular, for this purpose of this particular video, you stood for me. You've been there for this particular channel, and up to this particular very point, it's been an overall support, and I just want to thank you big time. See you in the next one.